Welcome back to another episode of STEM in Stilettos. This is your host, Zofia Morales. I'm here today with Dr. Laura Sicola, and we will be discussing authentic adaptability, the secret to being you and getting the results you want. Before we swing into that, though, I'd like you to take a couple minutes, grab your pen, grab your piece of paper, and prepare to get to know your own self a little bit better. Many of us adopt leadership styles because they suit our personalities and seem to get the job done for us. But a lot of times they do come with a certain set of pitfalls, which we may or may not be aware of. So I would invite you to take a minute to get to know your personal leadership style, as well as the pitfalls that go along with that. You can find that at leadershippitfallquiz.com. It takes about 60 seconds to answer the questions and get the insight that is promised. You can go to leadershippitfallquiz.com and get those answers. That's leadershippitfallquiz.com. So now to introduce our guest, Dr. Laura Sicola is a leadership communication and influence expert, executive coach, trainer, speaker, global top 1% podcast host, and author of Speaking to Influence, Mastering Your Leadership Voice. Her mission is to transform executives from industry experts into confident, inspiring leaders. A cognitive linguist by background, she has worked with executives at Fortune 500 companies and nonprofit leaders from around the world. Laura's TED Talk, Want to Sound Like a Leader? Start by Saying Your Name Right, has nearly 7 million views. Welcome to the show, Laura. I'm so happy to have you here with me.
Zofia, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm looking forward to it.
All right. How do I say my name right, by the way?
Well, what I meant by saying it right was so many times we feel like we're not good at remembering names, right? Somebody introduces themselves to you, and the moment they've said it, it's already gone. And much of that, and of course, that happens when we introduce ourselves to somebody else too. And it's because, in great part, because the way that we say it makes it hard for the other person to process and remember what we've said. So here's the three big pitfalls of what we do wrong. Number one, we say it way too fast. Number two, we smash the various parts of our name together. So if it's first and last name or middle or however many. And number three, we tend to ask it like it's a question.
Oh.
So if it sounds like we don't even know, why would they pay attention and try to remember? So here, most people will say things like, "Hi, I'm Laura Sicola." Blah, blah, blah. And by the time you even realize the person was talking, it's too late. It's gone. By the time they've realized you're talking. So what we want to do is three things. Number one, we want to slow it down, because even though you've introduced yourself 1,000 million times in your life, it's the first time for them to hear it. So even if the name is simple, like Ann Smith, it doesn't mean it's predictable. So you still have to give the listener's brain time to catch up with their ears. Number two, break it up. So instead of saying Laura Sicola, blah, 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 all one word, Zofia Morales, you want to say break it up with a little break in the middle. So Laura Sicola, have that little pause so they understood, okay, part one is done, prepare for part two.
Yeah.
And number three, if you're going to put the two together, you'll have a little bit of a rise on the first name only to indicate there's more. Very important part that we're getting to here. And then on your last name, you want your voice to go down. It's like saying, and now I'm done. So Laura Sicola.
All right.
Pause, down. Want to give it a shot?
Very good. My name is Zofia Morales.
Beautiful. Nice and clear. I caught it. My brain's going to stick with it. And I'm going to not move my hands so my camera stops trying to auto zoom in on me. Oh, and tech rises up against us. Let's see if we can get this down more. Oh, well, we'll figure it out later.
Exactly. I love that. So a lot of times we spend a lot of energy, if you will, on what we plan to say. And I know that's a really important aspect of our message. But what honestly is more important, what you say or how you say it?
I love this question because the answer is both and. We often sit there and argue.
It's the lawyer answer.
Yes, it is. You would think, and yet it's not. Really, the challenge is that if you think about it, like your message is like a house. You need the foundation and you need the building. The words that you say are the foundation of your message, and the delivery is the building that sits on top of it, is the presentation of it. So if I'm trying to give you constructive feedback and help you feel reassured, help you feel confident, and make myself sound like I'm trustworthy, et cetera, and I say to you, and I'm focusing on just the delivery, like a lot of people say, well, it's, not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what I say, really. So I think you're kind of stupid. I don't know how you don't understand this because I've told you 4 times how to do it right. But so maybe you're just not qualified for this. I mean, it's no offense.
Yeah, see, I had a conversation with a client of mine this morning who's a truth teller and one of these really literal truth tellers.
Yes.
And we talked about how truth can be couched in a diplomatic way and
Yes.
delivered in a setting in which people can hear it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Very much. And that's so there are those who lean towards that. Hey, I just call it like I see it. It's not personal. It's
I
just
call a spade,
right.
exactly.
Exactly. But diplomacy is a huge part of leadership that's why we have people whose job title is literally diplomat.
Yes.
Because if they just went over to Pakistan or to Colombia or to wherever else and laid it out and said, hey, you guys, here's what I think about you.
Yeah.
How do you think
Mm.
that's going to go over?
Yeah,
You going
we're
to get
going to
what you
be
want?
at war like too sweet.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to get what you want out of it? Not likely. So
Yeah.
it's not about, well, if I don't just tell you my truth the way I see it, then I got to be me. I'm not
Yeah.
being me if I don't. No, you're not being a sledgehammer. You're
Yeah.
not being a totally tactless fill in the blank person I don't like, but you need to be able to deliver the message in a way they can receive the message as you need them to hear it.
Yeah.
So, not just the cathartic venting kind of way to say what you've really been wanting to say to them all along, which might feel great for about 15 seconds, but boy, will you be cleaning up a mess for a
For a
very long
while.
time there
Yes.
afterwards. You
People
pull
don't
the pin out of the
forget
grenade.
this.
Nope, throw the
Yeah.
grenade. Felt really good to launch it. Blew up. Boy, that was great to watch. Now you have a lot of bodies in your wake.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Good luck with that.
that's actually not a good thing when you're trying to advance your career because while it feels good sometimes to burn a bridge, you never know who you're going to need farther down the line.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
allies are much better than enemies. In fact, I had a boss, he was a very remarkable guy, a character to say the least. And with his team talking about other events, he would use these very colorful analogies that would stick
Mm.
in your mind. But he was a diplomat the moment he had to talk to somebody outside of the community.
Mm.
And that was a really instructive thing to watch
Interesting.
because I think he used the colorful aphorisms, if you will, to get the attention of the team and say, look, this is the thing you need to be focusing on. But he was also aware that that would not be received well outside of that circle. And
Yeah.
therefore would recruit people to we're on the same side, we have the same objectives, let's look at how we can make this challenge that we're facing
Yes.
less of a challenge and a real win for everybody involved.
And what's
And
interesting is he realized that, okay, you can't talk like this at 4-letter words and whatever else when you're talking to external people, because I'm sure he could
yeah,
tell you why he came to that conclusion.
absolutely.
But what data did he have that told him it was received better by the people inside? Was it that it was really received better, or simply that no one was going to tell him that they didn't really appreciate him swearing at them, or they didn't
Well,
appreciate them doing these things? Because he's the boss. So if that's how the boss is going to talk and I don't want to lose my job, I'm not about to tell the boss that he needs to work on his manners.
yeah, yeah,
That doesn't, so the assumptions that we have as leaders as far as
yeah.
how we think other people are receiving us is something to be checked every now and then.
It is. It is. It's very interesting. There was this, what to call it, this phenomenon that I found really intriguing because, as I mentioned, he could be really straightforward and lay
Mm.
it on the line with his direct reports and very diplomatic outside of that. But interestingly, there was this fear of Jack is what I called it.
Sounds like it.
And I think it had to do with the fact that he had the ability to win over the bosses. Okay. You might run into this situation where there's this line in the sand drawn, and my counterpart on the other side is like, this is how it's going to be, and you're going to just conform to that. And I would go, okay, I appreciate where you're coming from. I'm going to have to escalate this to Jack. And immediately there was a, well, okay, let's talk about this a little bit before you go there.
Yeah.
Because he
So
did have that ability to like win over the other side, and they did not want to be caught with their pants down, so to
was it
speak.
winning over the other side or bowling over the other side?
No, it was
Or
winning
steamrolling?
over. It was winning over. He wasn't a
Hmm.
steamroller.
And yet they didn't want to talk with him about it. That's interesting.
Well, they didn't want him talking to their boss about it.
Hmm.
So that was very intriguing. All right. So that brings us around to this question. Is it better to be respected as opposed to being likable and people really enjoying being with you? I know as women, we're kind of pushed towards one side versus the other, but how do we strike a balance?
I think part of the challenge is that we label the problem in the first place, as being binary, like you've just done.
Yeah.
And it's like, can I be strong or can I be nice? Can I be effective or can I be liked? And as soon as we give ourselves that binary choice, we've already limited our potential for success and happiness at the
Yeah,
same time. And
exactly.
when we look at the spectrum of communication styles that are available to us, there's so many ways to mix and match the content and the delivery, like we addressed previously,
Yes.
in a way that's going to thread that needle, so to speak, that's going to help us find the perfect balance between being strong enough to gain respect and empathetic enough, approachable enough, relatable enough to be likable, in the sense of, because there's a difference. I think we use the word respect wrong, and
Yeah.
I'm shifting
Yeah.
gears in my
Go
statements
ahead.
here, but
Let's
what does it mean to be
define
respected?
it. Yes.
I used to work in a high school, and the kids would say, it's all about respect. You got to respect me. And what they meant was, you need to fear me and stay out of my way.
Aha.
That's not respect.
No.
That's a whole, I mean, in their world, that was the definition of respect. But when you think about the people for whom you have the greatest respect, it's those who are able to get stuff done and still have people love them, who found that Machiavellian balance between fear and, like, I'm not going to cross them because I don't ever want to see what that looks like, or I have seen what it looks like, and I don't want to trigger that necessarily. But I know that I don't need to get to that point, because this person I can trust,
Yep.
and they'll work with me. They'll help me. They'll give me what I need to do my job well. I won't test them, but they don't have to be nicey for me to still receive the message. So,
Exactly.
we want to dress the message the same way you're going to dress your body for the context. Are you going to an investors meeting? You going to wear a suit or business casual? Are you going to a black tie gala of some sort? In which
Yeah.
case, okay, tux, cocktail dress, or formal gown, etc. You go to the gym. You're going to wear your sloppy sweats. You have all of those options in your wardrobe, but you are smart enough to recognize that you're not going to wear the gym sloppies to the black tie event. You're not
Yes.
going to wear the black tie outfit to the cocktail reception or to the meeting, the
The
board meeting.
boardroom meeting. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So it's not to say, well, I like the sloppy sweats. Those are my favorite. Yes, okay.
It's the
Get
most
over it.
authentically me thing I have in my closet. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, which is using the word authenticity as a get out of jail free card to not have to be a grown up or be responsible. Because the
Oh, I
whole
hate
wardrobe,
adulting, but
oh, I
yes.
know, it's no fair. I'm sorry to be a killjoy, Zofia.
Yeah, well, you got to adult from time to time.
Every now and then, right? But when you look in your wardrobe, the fact is, you picked out that dress, you picked out that suit, and you picked out those gym clothes. I have all three of those in my wardrobe too, but I bet they don't look like yours.
Yeah, I'll
So
bet they
it
don't.
is right. I mean, we're different sizes, we're different heights, we're different personality types. So, but the idea is, we recognize that in this context, we both should probably lean toward the suit.
Right.
But you do you suit wise. I'll do me suit wise. So we're going to dress appropriately for the context. You're going to give correct constructive feedback to an employee. Okay. Is it someone who is that kind of, just call it like I call it like you see it. Just don't sugarcoat it. Just let me have it. I can take it. Don't mince words. Okay. 4 errors on page 6. Fix the spreadsheet. Send it back to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to do it again. Okay. Fine. Somebody
Yeah.
else.
And maybe next time, double check your work. Yeah.
Yes. Don't want to have to do this don't want to have this conversation with you again.
Yeah.
Somebody else who's much more sensitive, takes everything to heart, wants to do their best, but is going to fixate on any little detail and go, oh my God, they hate me. Okay. I'm going to be a lot more gentle with them.
Yeah. Well, and maybe a feedback sandwich, right?
Sure.
As opposed to just the straight to the point. It's like, you do these things amazingly well. There's this little tweak that is needed in this document. You might be able to help yourself in this way. And I really love how you blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. So however they need to receive it so that they don't just fixate on the one little thing, they feel trusted, they feel like their job is safe, they feel like whatever it is, it's not inauthentic to shift your delivery style, to shift the words that you choose just because they're different people and it's still the same corrective feedback. There's 4 errors on the spreadsheet in page 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it still needs to be corrected, and we still need to not make this mistake again.
And delivering that message in those 2 ways to those 2 people, they will probably both like and respect you the same amount.
Yeah.
Because you've met the need of that person in the way that they need to hear.
So a little thought about the audience that you're delivering to goes a long way, is what I'm hearing here.
Yes, a lot of thought about it. And it's okay, to the extent that somebody may feel like, am I acting? Am I doing this because this is my preferred style? We have what I like to call a prismatic voice. Mm-hmm. It's not just this is me, because remember, that's the black and white. This is me, that's not me.
Exactly. And I'm going to put a pin in the prismatic voice right now, and we will dig into that more after the break, because we are up on the break.
Okay.
And so I like to give a little bit of homework over the break, something we can consider about our style, how we've been working with people, and maybe the thing we might want to tweak or add in. What do you suggest that we think about over the break regarding this respected being versus likable and showing your authenticity?
I think I would say, when you think about a person or two that you either recently have given some constructive feedback to, or that you'd like to give some constructive feedback to, managing up, down, or sideways as necessary. And just ask yourself what the effect is that you want to have on that person, how you want to be seen. And then think about knowing them. What words do you need to use? And how do you need to adjust it? Are you coming across gently? Are you coming across, no big deal? Are you coming across, hey, just real quick, hey, one piece over here, I want you to look. Are you being super direct and just to the point? Okay, but choose.
Yes.
Choose. Don't just default.
That. I love that. So give that some thought over the break and hang with us. We'll be right back to discuss that prismatic voice.
Oh, shake it loud, the world here. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. No fear. No fear.
Thanks for hanging in with us through the break. This is Zofia Morales, and I am still here with the amazing and wonderful Laura Sicola. And you were mentioning before we went to break the prismatic voice, and I think the exercise you gave us before the break kind of sets us up nicely for discussing what this looks like. So we've got this conversation that we took some notes on, and let's say maybe the last time you had this conversation with this person, they kind of blew you off and really didn't do anything about it. What are some options we might choose from when we approach the conversation about this next thing that we want to make happen in our world with regards to this person?
I guess the first question would be to take a step back and say, why
Mhm.
did this person take action? Is it was it out of spite? Do they think they did do what
Mhm.
you asked them to do? And you're going, that's not what I meant by that feedback. Is it something where they want to, but they don't know how and they're afraid to tell you?
Okay.
So there's a million different reasons. So perhaps the next conversation to be had is addressing why. Maybe
Yeah.
it's still on your to-do list. You just haven't gotten around to it yet for one of various reasons. So let's identify why that it does not appear that that person has taken any action yet. Because again, maybe they did. Maybe you're misreading. Maybe you missed the email, the file, something or other. So
Right.
check the appearances.
Right. Check your understanding, double check the facts. Yes.
Yes, check your assumptions.
Of
So I think
that.
that's the first thing, and give them a chance to say, actually, I did. Or, well, here was the reason, or give a little bit of background clarification before you launch right into accusation mode. Because if you
Right.
launch right into accusation, they launch right into defense or counter accusation.
Exactly. Curiosity will take you a long way.
Yes. Yes. And using that word, actually. So beginning the conversation with, I'm curious. Were you able to send something? Did I miss a file? Was there a problem along the way? Is there something you need to be able to do? I didn't see a file. So I just like 6
Yeah.
options right there,
Did
right?
email eat it? What happened?
It has
Yeah.
been known to happen.
Amen. It certainly has. So when you're going into a conversation, talk about prismatic voice and what this really means to that next conversation.
So the prismatic voice is an empowerment the tool that we all have, but just don't often realize, where we need to be able to adapt to those. On the one hand, the guy who likes the sledgehammer approach is like, oh, it's not personal, just tell me what you need. And to the other person who is much more sensitive, for example, and anything in between. If When you think about all the different, well, let's go back to the prism itself. You ever see one of those little crystals that's hanging from the rear view mirror of your car or from the kitchen window, and then the light catches it and you see a little
Yeah.
rainbow on the back seat or the floor or something like that? So similarly, we're all that white light. Got all that sunshine. And by the way, I'm a Jersey Italian. We don't do woo woo. So this is as foofy as I get on the analogy.
This
Just
is
go with the
it.
flow. This is it. So go with me, Zofia. Okay. You can play with me here. Humor me. The,
I am all that woo, so no problem.
You are okay. Well, I'm not. So we'll balance each
I've
other
got
out on that.
crystals hanging from the TV mirror on my monitor, so my husband doesn't scare me to death when he walks in the room.
Nice. I love it. That's great. Okay, so we're right in the flow here.
Yeah.
Just like you see in that little rainbow projection, all the colors in the spectrum that are inherently part of that white light. Similarly, okay, this face, this person who shows up, that's my white light, but inside I have all those colors, and so do you. We've got that whole spectrum available to us. So if I think about this version of me, where I'm talking in my coaching voice, I'm in my podcast guest, kind of trainer, speaker
Kind of
mode, call
that
it what you
lovely
will.
blue-green sort of energy. Yeah.
Love it. Okay, so we'll call that my blue. I also have a 9-year-old at home. He's a ball of energy, and I don't generally talk to him like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my voice, of course, but
Yeah.
when I'm in mommy mode, happy mommy mode or not so happy mommy mode, it's a little different. I might call one my red and one more my yellow.
Exactly.
Okay, but they're all parts of me. So it's just a matter of when I'm in a particular context, that prism that I have to pass through, it's going to help me see which one of those shades needs to shine most brightly for the message to land the way it needs to.
Right.
Because if I were to talk to you and everybody out there who's listening the way I talk to my 9-year-old, you'd probably have switched off by now.
Yeah, it's not going very well, especially if you pull out the Zofia Morales, get your butt in here kind of approach,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Or even the playful version. There's a sillier, goofy play version, the fun stuff, which sure, we want to have fun, but not that kind of fun.
Right.
That, it's certainly not the appropriate style to talk about leadership, communication, and influence. And anybody who did stick around is probably just listening for like the continued train wreck of
value, yes.
like, oh my gosh, who is this ridiculous person Zofia got on? And listen to this one. What a nutcase. But it's neither of those are being inauthentic. They're me. It's just the mommy voice or the interviewing voice or the whatever, they're all inherently part of who I am. So when you need to give that a little more tough love conversation to somebody, if that's not your style, you're much more like I like to keep everybody happy and not ruffle feathers and not have anybody upset with me and whatever else. Somewhere in life, you have those heart to hearts with somebody else and you say, you know what? This can't continue this way. We need to have a conversation. There's some standards that are being missed and we need to fix them. We got to get clear on this now. You have that conversation with somebody in life that we'll call it your purple. So where do you do that in real life? Well, it's time to pull from that color. And for this conversation at work, it's time to tap into that part of the spectrum a little
purple
bit more.
forward. Exactly.
Yes. And it's okay because you still have it. You're just not used to applying it here.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's still you.
And you might not, what do I want to say? You might not be applying it with people. I know people pleasers tend to do a lot of people pleasing interaction, but will be much more firm, say with a pet, for example, that's getting in trouble. And so you might be channeling it from an area that seems a little odd.
Sure.
But it'll work just fine.
Absolutely. And if anything, I would be willing to bet it's the other direction where, especially people who are like the hard, tough kind of person, they get home and then the dog is there with the tail wagging or the cat comes into your lap. You go, who's a good dog? Come here.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
somebody
we
out
see
there
that
just,
also.
Yes, but somebody out there driving their car just burst out laughing and went, oh my God, that's me. So, yep, we know you. We're there.
You're
Not
there.
our first
we
rodeo.
see you.
Yes. Feel seen, feel heard, feel understood.
Exactly. So you started out in academia and eventually decided that entrepreneurship was the thing to do. Tell us how that went. How do you transition from one to the other? It's not the most common direction that people go. Most people run away from corporate to academia or vice versa. Yes.
It was definitely not that clear of a line of demarcation or active choice. It was a career that found me a little bit more. I was a teacher originally, and then I went to I was at the university doing research and to be a professor. That was my intention, that whole tenure track thing.
Yeah.
And I realized that after 7 years worth of trying to get the degree and earn the stripes and all that, that the tenure track wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. And as many people have, you aspire to a certain job.
Surprising.
You want to get into a particular role or industry or company, and you get to the inside and you go, wait, that's what it's like? I'm
not so sure I like this.
Exactly. For a number of reasons. And I think there's two kinds of professors. Anybody out there who's been to college can probably agree to or see if they agree with this. But there are some who are researchers at heart who also teach classes. And then there are teachers at heart who also do research and publish. And I am the second one. Or perish. Exactly. Yeah. And I am the latter. And most of them wanted the former. And so there was a cultural mismatch there. And to be perfectly honest, there's one of the memos that I definitely missed early on was that there is a gross discrepancy in salary among different departments. So if you're in the business school, the law school, the medical school, the engineering school, what you will earn as a salary is multiple times the amount that you get in the social sciences. And
I was going to say as a linguist or a sociologist.
In education and all that kind of stuff. So I missed that memo. And the jobs that they were offering were less than the money I'd made a decade earlier teaching public school. K-12.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And the prestige should make up for it.
Should. If only I didn't have to do things like eat. And
pay the mortgage. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so, Zofia, my motto became, I was never motivated by money until you told me I couldn't have any.
Yes. And suddenly it becomes a much stronger motivator.
So that was a motivator to go, okay, well, but what else is there? Mm-hmm. If not this, like, I'm not going to find a classified ad listing. I'm not going to go to Indeed and find a job that says wanted cognitive linguist.
Yeah, exactly. Please. I've yet to see one of those.
It does.
And the other thing is the fact that you're a teacher first and foremost, and that the research really doesn't inspire you, kind of cuts off an avenue of income as well. Because if you're doing the research and getting the grants, a lot of times that's how professors will supplement and increase their earnings. And if you're
Again, not in the
playing
social
that
sciences.
game,
Yeah, if
not
you're
so
doing,
much. Okay.
no, that's another discrepancy. You know,
Okay.
business, economics research, political research, medical research, sure.
Yeah.
Education, link, and whatever else, social aspects, not
Not
so
so
much.
much.
Nope. So it was, yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
little details that kind of do matter along the way. And right around that time when I'm looking and going, this is not what I signed up for, a kind of two serendipitous conversations happened within a very short time period. One, I was sitting next to somebody at a wedding reception, and
Okay.
he asked about my research and what I was doing. And he said, you know, I've always had an interest and an instinct about what you do, but I never had the data to back it up. You have the data. I think it's relevant. Would you want to come and do a training for my leadership team?
Oh,
And it turned out he was the vice president of government programs at IBM.
well, very nice.
Exactly. That was similar to my words, a little more colorful, but yes, similar to my
It's a
words.
beautiful serendipity, that one.
It
I love it.
was. It was. And so that was opportunity number one. I thought, well, training, teaching, what's the difference? Just older students. So that was a great first opportunity in consulting. And about 2 months later, I got a call from somebody at Chase from Human Resources and the leadership development team at the university, because he called not knowing exactly who to ask for or how, and got routed to my number.
Oh,
And as I understood what he was looking for, I said, okay. So here's the actual department that handles that kind of stuff. Here's how you frame the question. Here's what they're going to want to know. Here's the answers you can probably anticipate. You know, here's the person, et cetera. And if that's what you wanted, great. And if not, call me back, because you're looking to put together a program along these lines. I worked in that department for about 6 years. I'm quite well versed. You want the Penn degree, or the Penn pedigree, I should say,
right.
quality. Well, I graduated from there and they hired me again to teach. So apparently they think they did a good job. And I'm a lot easier to work with than the 800-pound gorilla of this gigantic university. So give me a call back.
Your
And
call.
little by little, I had another contract for about 4 to 6 months with a bank. And apparently that was God saying, in case you didn't get the hint on the first one,
yes.
this is a giant blinking yellow arrow saying, turn left here. And that was the beginning. I stayed teaching for a long time, another probably 5 years or so part-time, just because it was stable. It kept the lights on. It was part-time, building my brand, because Fortune 100 companies did not continue to rain out of the sky and fall into my lap once I took the hint.
It would be really nice if they continued to do that, but they don't tend to.
No, not that in succession that way. So it was like, all right, God saying, you got the hint. Good. Now learn things like marketing.
Exactly.
Now figure out what your brand is.
Go be deliberate about this. Yes.
So it took about 5 years, frankly, for me to figure out, okay, I have this very specific, unique, and uncommon skill set. What do I do with it that the business world would pay for? What do I call it? Where do I go? How do I tell people I exist? It was a long ramp because I had no background whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so it took about 5 years before everything clicked. And I understood, okay, this is my brand. This is what I do. This is who I do it for. This is why it matters. Oh, and this is what people will pay for it. Oh,
Yes,
that's a
and
very useful piece too.
these are the people I need to talk to about it, because a lot of times with big corporations, the secret is discovering who you need to be speaking with.
Yes,
absolutely.
very much so.
All right, we are up on our second break. And let's see, what should our homework be for break number 2? Let's think a little bit, if we're thinking about making a shift, let's think a little bit about ways we can do that without completely burning all our bridges and playing financial harry-carry. Because I love what you did, which was, okay, I'm going to just dial back the commitment to what I'm currently doing while I ramp up this other thing. So many people are kind of so over what they were doing that they're in a hurry to get out the door. So I think that's our homework. Spend a little time thinking about how you can decommit a little bit while you're committing to something new and making that happen. And hang with us. We'll be right back from the break.
Oh, shout it loud, but we'll hear. Tech is ours and we show no fear. No fear. From no fear.
Thank you for hanging in with us through the break. This is Zofia Morales, and I'm here with the amazing and wonderful Dr. Laura Sicola. And before the break, you had shared with us that, hang on, you had shared with us that it took you about 5 years to begin to exit fully from your academic position and go full-time as an entrepreneur. And you mentioned that you had discovered your niche, who needed what you needed and what it was they wanted. So tell us a little bit about what you discovered your niche was.
The irony is that I didn't know that leadership was a thing that people had to work to develop. It was, and that communication and the voice in particular was something that was a missing link in many ways. And the moment that was pivotal for me back in 2013, if you recall, when Sheryl Sandberg, who is the COO of Facebook, published Lean In.
Yes.
Many women out there have read it. It's
Read
got
it.
some controversy around it, but on the whole, most people have agreed with most of her observations. But what surprised me, I came out of academia, I came out of education, I came out of linguistics, all very female dominant spaces.
Yes.
And I'm not somebody who ever really lacked confidence or was super introverted or was any of the other things that people will self-subscribe to, reasons that they hold back on certain things. So I was kind of surprised when I read her book. And because I thought, really, this is still going on. And the whole premise, for anybody who hasn't read it, of Lean In, well, there's a number of them, but it's really looking at why there's still the pay gap between men and women, and why women weren't rising as fast as men were, despite all these programs that are out there, despite all this kind of stuff. And part of it was looking
why
at
they're not staying, because we've got an exodus going on as well.
Yes. But part of it was that women was looking at the behaviors that women take on that also hold themselves back. So you walk into a large room with a big conference table and a seat of chairs also around the side of the wall. Are young women more likely to take a seat at the table or along the wall? And same thing for more senior women or younger men or more senior men. Who sits where? Who assumes that they deserve a seat at the table, and who assumes they should take the back row unless invited otherwise? Those kinds of things. But I started straw polling a lot of women that I would meet at networking events and whatnot, and she'd say, "Have you read it?" Answer was always yes. "What'd you think?" And they all hands down said, "Oh boy, is that what happened to me? Let me tell you my story." And the common thread that I was hearing all over the place was that women's voices weren't being heard. That was the common expression. I feel like they don't listen to me. My voice isn't heard. I can't. And so
you make a suggestion at the meeting. There's no reaction to it. The guy next to you repeats it. He repeats it, if you will. And suddenly it's a thing and everybody's talking about it.
That is by far the singular most cited scenario of anything ever, of any other scenario ever given to me in those situations. She said it, it got passed over. A guy says it 30 seconds later and everybody thinks he's a genius. Like, what happened here? And so the fact that as a linguist, one of my primary focus areas in my research was looking at voice in particular, looking at speech. What is it that makes what you say go in one ear and come out the other for the listener, or go in and stick?
Yes.
And sometimes it's literally your voice. Sometimes it's social factors and other things, but nevertheless, the voice mattered. And so I started to say,
and the voice you can control. The other social factors are going to be what they are.
Yes. So that's the challenge, right? It's like, well, I shouldn't have to change how I speak. Everybody else should be more inclusive, listening to the way women communicate and to understanding how introverts need a little space. Like extroverts shouldn't just be stepping all over. Well, yes, you're right. The world should be different.
It's not. So let's do something different.
Yeah. You've got two choices. If you're on a basketball court and everybody's running around playing basketball and grabbing the ball from each other, but you like to bowl, okay, but understand you're on a basketball court. Learn to get in there, grab the ball and run. No one's going to stop play and say, "Want to shoot?" I mean, if
Exactly.
you're in a room full of bowlers, you need to adjust that too. Or perhaps the people should eventually realize, hey, there's a bowler over here. Somebody needs to invite them in and teach them to play. But in the moment, if you have a point to make, you gotta speak up. And you're going to have to do it in a way that they can hear. Short-term gains versus long-term systemic change, they're not going to
Yeah,
happen in the same method and in the same day.
exactly. And the short-term gain is what you really need in your life right now, anyway.
Correct. Correct. For the moment, you need them to hear
I
the
don't
truth.
want to wait 4 decades for somebody to
Right.
actually hear my ideas.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So how do you play the game in the moment and play by the rules? So my question to people became, what do you think about if I were to offer a program like vocal empowerment for women in leadership? What would you think about something like that? And hands down, they all said, wait, you're going to do that? Where? How? Do I need a ticket? Can I do that? And I went,
Yeah.
oh,
What's the time and the price and how do I
right.
show up? Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't just the platitudes that I was expecting, like, oh, that sounds nice, Laura. Sure,
All
good luck
right.
with
Yeah.
that. And because we've all done that to people. Hey, I think I'm going to go do this. And you go,
Yeah.
good luck with that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Ask Your Mother book. You need to
Yes,
you need to read the Ask Your Mother book before you do your market research.
exactly. Exactly. But it wasn't that. It was the, I need that. Tell me when you're going to do it. I'll be there. So I did. And that was the launch. That was the rebrand, the relaunch, and being able to say, so my focus at the time was really on the vocal executive presence piece and helping women to find their voices. And shortly thereafter, it was men too, because, oh, lo and behold, men aren't great communicators either. Oh, no. Okay. So,
Exactly. And they have their own challenges. So yeah.
yes, they do. They really do. And some of them are not different from what women experience. Just, okay, the buttons are on the different side of the shirt, but that's all. That's where it shifted. But the idea of speech, voice, being heard, commanding the room, and finding your leadership presence through the way that you communicate, that became my niche. And that was something that under the executive presence umbrella, which was a common topic in executive coaching, that's a niche that was not addressed. So I
Yeah.
claimed it.
Very good. I like that. So, since you are the expert in this niche, share with us the top speech pitfalls that will undermine your authority and your influence.
Boy, how much time do we have for that list?
It's 7.5 minutes,
Seven and
but
a
we might
half.
want to reserve some of that for another topic.
That sounds good. I think there's a couple of things. One is going right back to where we began today, Zofia, is the black and white thinking. This is me,
Mm.
that's not me. Maybe I have a reputation for being a little aggressive or being too intimidating or whatever. I tried being nice and that didn't work. So what am I supposed to do? Where did the black and white thinking come in? Who told you those are the only two options on the buffet? It's not. So recognizing there's a lot of finesse that's missed in that gray. And so learning how to take that, that's pitfall number one, majorly. Number two is that other belief that likable versus nice, it's a mental block.
Right.
That I'm just, hey, it's just me. I got to be authentic. And that authenticity is also binary. This is me. That's not me. I'm being authentic. I'm being inauthentic. No, a preference, a comfort zone, that's not authenticity. That's a preference and a comfort zone.
Right. And
Learning the
you can
skill.
push the edges on those things.
Yes, yes, a lot. And sometimes you're going to have to learn to speak a different language, literally and figuratively, for someone to hear what you mean rather than just
Right.
what you say.
Yeah, you don't want to stand up and do the Valley Girl routine. I'm like, oh, and gag me with a spoon. No, that's not going to get you anything.
No, it's not. No, it's not. And being nicey just to not sound witchy is not going to get you where you want either. So the doormat versus the Wicked Witch of the East kind of a thing. Stay away from that. Being mindful of your tonality and your delivery does absolutely matter because there's a lot of people who, when they're talking, they think they're being straightforward, but it sounds like they're asking questions because they're having that upswing on the ends of, oops, there
On
goes
the
my
end of,
camera again, on
yeah,
the
on
end
the
of
end
all
of
your
all those
phrases and
words.
sentences. Right.
Yes.
So, how did what's happening there? Most people don't even know that they're doing it. And they are trying really hard to make a point, but it sounds like they're insecure It sounds like they're asking questions.
They're
It sounds like
asking for agreement. Please
they're
agree
asking
with
for
what I'm sharing
validation.
with you. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So wait a minute. If I'm asking if you agree, if I need your approval, I need your
Buy-in or
buy-in, your
whatever. Yeah.
validation over and over again, I just gave away all my power.
Mhm.
You apparently are the authority who needs to validate me. Or I'm not 100% sure, so you probably shouldn't be either.
Mhm.
So we undermine our own authority with that tonality. So
Yeah.
being careful, that one and the other big pitfall vocally is what's called vocal fry. And vocal
Ah,
fry is that habit that a lot of people
yeah,
have
that
where they
kind
kind
of
of
talk.
freak
Oh
out and
God, my
maybe they
mother and
start
my
okay.
sister do that all the time. It makes me nuts.
Lovely. A lot of people start
Yeah.
okay, but then they trail off at the end of their sentences. And how
Mhm.
does that sound? Like I'm sick, or I don't care about you or about this topic, or maybe I've been smoking 2 packs a day since I was 8.
Right.
But either way, it doesn't say strong, confident, approachable, likable leader, none of it, right?
Yeah.
So how do we get rid of that?
Good question. How do we get rid of some of this? I mean, do we like record all of the conversations that we have and play them back and watch them? Do we ask people around? How do we start resolving
Recording
problems?
absolutely is your best bet because if I tell my clients all the time when we're coaching, I can't coach you until you see and hear what I saw and heard.
Mm,
Otherwise, you know what you meant to do. You know what you think you did. You absolutely do not know what you actually said, how you looked, or how you sounded when it came out. And you know that's true, Zofia, because we've all had the moment where we've watched ourselves on a selfie video, maybe sending a birthday message to somebody or just doing a little who knows what, and you watch it 30 seconds after you clicked the record stop buttons. And then you go, oh my gosh, that sounded so much better in my head. Oh my gosh, what was I
yes,
doing with my face? Oh my gosh, look
exactly.
at my hair. Oh my
This
gosh.
is
Oh my,
much cringier than I realized it was.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So you need to do a little bit of recording. 30 seconds is enough. 30 seconds. How would you open that conversation with that person? Let's just see what that looks and sounds like, because chances are you're going to want to edit.
Absolutely. I love that you we started this with teaching people how to say their name, introduce
Yep.
themselves, because it can be more challenging than you really realize. And I remember, I forget who it was. It wasn't Leslie Stahl, but it was someone on the 60 Minutes crew. And they do setup takes, the I'm Leslie Stahl, that sort of
Sure.
thing. And she was saying when she went to go do this, they had booked like an hour
Mm.
to just get the I'm Leslie Stahl. And she's like, this shouldn't take an hour. And sure enough, it took an hour and a quarter to get that
Yes.
like strong but neutral, factual presentation of the name.
Yes. Yes. It is amazing how long it takes. I ran a podcast for 4.5 years, interviewed 200 something leaders from for profit, nonprofit, you name it. And getting people at the end to be able to do a 30, not even 15-second little clip about, hi, I'm Dr. Laura Sicola. And if you want to know about X, Y, and Z and see how I managed to handle problem X, tune into the next episode. That's
Yeah.
all I wanted them to say based on the conversation that we just had for an hour. Just give me that little piece. And I even work with them on what they could include in that so they didn't have to come up with it on their own.
Right.
Oh my gosh, the number of takes that they wanted to do because each time got worse frequently before it
Because
got
they're
better.
thinking about it really, really
Yes,
hard.
yes, absolutely. And it's amazing how small details make a big difference. That is the takeaway from today, if nothing else. Understand that small changes have massive difference in impact for better and for worse. So choose them carefully.
Very good. So, if someone has recognized themselves and their situation in this conversation that we've had today,
Mhm.
how can they get in touch with you and explore options for taking care of those details?
Thank you for asking. Number one, you're welcome to go to my website, of course, which is simply laurasicola.com. You can also reach out on LinkedIn. I would love to hear from anyone who has listened to this episode. Shoot me a message, Feel free to connect with me. If you do, please tell me that you heard us here on the STEM and Stilettos podcast. I think that's great because Sophia and I both want to know who's tuning in and what resonates. And if it works, if it's okay for you, Sophia, I would love to offer people 2 free chapters of my book.
Excellent. By
Which
all
is
means.
okay. Well, I will. So I'll give you a link, and you can maybe. I
We'll
assume you
put
have
it
show
in the
notes.
show notes. You
Yes,
bet.
keep it simple. And there's a QR code if that's something that you can share as well. It might be easier for some people to access. But the book is simply called Speaking to Influence: Mastering Your Leadership Voice. And so 2 free chapters right off the top talks about all the stuff that we've already discussed today and much, much more. So great reinforcer and springboard into finding that voice so people can hear who you are, what you mean, what's important to you, and hopefully get to yes a whole lot faster.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. It's been a wonderful conversation, and I feel like very useful.
Thank you so much, Sophia. It was a great opportunity.
All right. And thank you for tuning in with us today. I know you have a lot of options for where you can spend your time, or I should better say, invest your time, because we are here to invest in you and to help you and your career move forward. So I love to hear from my listeners. Drop me a quick line at Zofia at STEM and Stilettos. That's ZOFIA at STEMinstilettos.com. And let me know what you thought, topics you'd like to see covered, what you agreed with, what you hated, who I should be talking to. And until next time, go out, be bold, be you, and be beautiful.